All right, so welcome, guys. AutoCAD 2026, right? What's new? That's what we're going to be going over today. It's not going to be too long, all right? There is some nice features that they're adding into AutoCAD. Yeah, and I can see that the big focus from the Autodesk developers, the AutoCAD guys, is that they are really focused on performance this year. Now, I don't know whether that's because they've decided to take a break from getting in fancy tools and so on, or if that's just the case of, that's the feedback from the community, because they are really good with the community, as you guys probably know. So yeah, always looking at what we as users are doing and just improving upon those points, right? But yeah, let's get into it. All right, so welcome to AutoCAD 2026 What's New webinar. Like I said, my name's Nick Wilkin. Work for a company called AutoCAD. All right. So yeah, we're basically covering the ANZ side of the world and more. All right. So it's quite a large company. We are international, and we do a lot more than just AutoCAD and Autodesk. Right. So yeah, any sort of software solutions that you're looking for, specifically in the engineering environment. Look us up, all right? Look us up, and including training. I tend to cover a lot of the courses, so maybe one or two of you guys have joined in one of my courses. Generally, just like this, I don't see people's faces, so you know, if you recognize me, thanks for that. But I probably would never recognize you. But yeah, if you join us, if you join us at Ocons and you do a course, you'll probably find, if it's something with AutoCAD, it's more than likely going to be me taking you through that course. All right, but let's get into what I'm going to be showing you this morning. All right, so obviously there's a few areas that the guys at AutoCAD are focusing on, right? It's accelerating creativity, connected design experiences, and tailored functionality. So that's the focus this year. Accelerating creativity, that's because of the performance increases, right? Connected design experiences, that's going to be more related to things like web and mobile. And then tailored functionality. So they're kind of leaning towards your CUI and the App Store, right? So they're improving the functionality there. All right. You'll notice here what it says here, 11 times faster this year around, right? So faster in 2026 versus 2025, 11 times on average. Now, I have messed around with a couple of large files, and yeah, it does feel faster, I'm going to be honest. Testing this a little bit myself, I found that opening some of the larger drawings, look, AutoCAD files, as you guys probably know, are really small, so they're easy to process. So yeah, but 11 times faster, definitely. I did find that once the drawing was open, yeah, then even if I closed it and I carried on with something else, and then if I revisited that previous drawing, it just opened instantly. Like instantly, there was no issues, there was no loading times. It was an instant open. Whereas when you start up the app in the morning and you start working, yeah, then it still tends to load a little bit. So yeah, but very cool accelerated performance as far as AutoCAD is concerned. And I don't open small drawings, guys. It's massive 3D drawings and so on. All right, so some of the enhancements that you guys can see here from Autodesk versus the older versions. All right, you'll see I'm going to actually show you guys the smart blocks, right? Search and convert, detect and convert. There is more improvements. So as you can see, that's enhanced with the markup import and the markup assist. Now, obviously, yeah, in 2025, those areas were already there, as you can see, right? But they were pretty basic, and there was no real. In 2025, they introduced the actual Autodesk AI into it, right? But in 2024, even though those were there, there was no real AI, playing a role there. But have a look at that, right? There is a link there, so you can visit that Autodesk Solutions, Autodesk AI for more information. Obviously, that's the future. That's the way everything's headed. So I see a lot more of this to come in the future. Um, all right. Uh, the next thing we're going to get into is the smart block detect and convert, right? So let me just turn the sound off here. Yeah, so the demo here is pretty neat, but I am going to go into this and just give you guys a demo myself. All right. So it quickly searches for objects in your drawing, matching text and variable text to convert into instances of newly defined blocks. So what you're going to do here is you're actually going to select the objects you want to convert, right? And what it will do is the AI will actually find those matching shapes, right? So it finds the matching shapes, and then it'll actually highlight the matching shapes for you, telling you how many there are, and then giving you the option to actually convert them into blocks. So no need to actually take the shape, then convert it into a block. You could open a drawing with multiple, like in this instance, chairs, and yeah, you'll actually be able to take all of those instances of those chairs and convert all of them into a singular type of block, right? Which can save a lot of time, right? Very neat. Now, noted that if you have things like attributes attached to those blocks, your attributes aren't really going to affect the function. Now, the reason I'm showing you the video and I'm not just diving straight into AutoCAD is because this is in the testing phase. And AutoCAD actually admits to this, right? You'll see when I bring it up the first time, there's two different functionalities here. So this is the first one, right? And then there's also a second one, which is the smart block detect, right? Detect and convert. So this is now going to detect them, right? And it's just going to improve your design efficiency and save you time, right? So this is slightly different. As you can see, that detects the blocks and then it lists them. Now, like I said, the AI is quite new. They've just introduced it. And this is specifically why I'm showing you the two videos as opposed to myself just diving into it. Because, yeah, I've actually had the instances where the AI kind of gets a little bit difficult with me, you might say. AutoCAD does that with me sometimes. We have a love-hate relationship, as I'm sure you guys can probably relate to. But what happens is sometimes the AI actually doesn't pick up the blocks, right? It doesn't figure it out, and it just sits there and goes, I'm searching, I'm searching, I'm searching. But it is early days, so I see good things to come with this. Right, so with that note, right, so here is my AutoCAD, just diving into it. Okay, so you'll find that in your Home tab, on the blocks panel, you can see that they've added these two icons here. Now, this is obviously 2026, detect and convert, search and convert, right? So first and foremost, if I go detect and convert, this is not going to search the entire drawing, detect and convert, right? So you'll see, sorry, this one is going to search the entire drawing, right? The other one's not going to search the entire drawing. So you can see now, this is the part that sometimes, and you'll see they're not shy about it. We are constantly improving our detection capability. So we encourage you to keep testing this feature, right? Which I've been doing. So I've created this drawing in the background. It's got blocks that are actual blocks and then similar blocks, similar objects that are not actually blocks, right? They're just a set of objects set into place. And you'll see there, it's actually now detected some stuff, thank goodness. Not having a bad day with AutoCAD at least. And there I can set it. So I specifically set this one first up, right? These are not blocks. So if I go around there, and you'll see over here that much like your when you make changes to like an XREF and you've got your drawing compare, it's a very similar type of window. Here it is up here. You can see I can go to the next one and go to the next one and so forth. I can zoom out and zoom in, and you'll notice that it has actually ignored the block reference that I have, because this is already a block and this is the detect and convert. So this is detecting that there is a shape that's common, and it's going to go and look for it. Now you'll see over here that there's other shapes that are common too, shapes that I possibly don't want to turn into blocks. But yeah, it will pick them up, including the door swings and so on. So there's 4 different door swings there that it's picked up and so on. There's other ones too. All right, and as you can see, there's quite a few objects here that I could actually convert to blocks. And I've specifically done objects that are blocks in the drawing, like this one and the first one. And then I've exploded them just to see what happens and how it detects them, right? So you can see there's actually a set of 7, right? Or set number 7, and it's actually telling me there's only one off. So even though I've changed some of the features there, let's close this over here. So what I've done is I've actually created these slightly differently, as you can see. And so you can see that it detected this one as a singular block pattern, if you will. And then this one would have been a separate one, but it seems to have missed that one. So yeah, some testing to be done on this, guys, but it's quite a neat feature, and it will save you a lot of time, right? Well, I reckon it's going to save quite a lot of time. All right, let's close that one. Then the other new feature is the search and convert. So search and convert, this one, like I said, it's not going to bring up that automatic search function. What this one does is you select the shapes, right? I'm going to press enter. And what it'll do is it'll search the entire drawing, right? The available objects that are in there. And it will tell me there is the objects and there's matching objects that I found. So this one I feel is going to be a lot more applicable to our day-to-day as users. Because yeah, oftentimes I'll get a drawing where I've now copied and pasted instead of creating a block, right? And then, 12 iterations of that one shape or group of objects, I go, I should have turned this into a block, right? Now, this is a fantastic method you can just carry on, copy and paste, or you can pattern, and then you can actually turn and say, okay, actually, I need this to be a block, and you can just left click on the convert, right? And then you can include existing blocks. So there's an existing block over there. Include test variations, right? So in other words, like I said, if there's attributes, all right, and so on. Or you can go click over here and you can actually just rename this and convert it to a new block, right? So very easy stuff, very neat stuff. And you'll see that I'm typing in chair because I think this one and some of the other chairs are actually already there. So chair 2, so it automatically picks up that I have got a block named chair, right? And then use geometry center. I don't want to do this. As you guys know, the base point might be, if I do that, you know that the base point will go to the 0, 0, 0 coordinate. So, but you do have the option here to pick base point, right? So I can do something like that, pick the base point, and it will create it. Now, this is not the best option because it's kind of at a funky angle, but yeah, still the same thing. And just as a demo of this, it's all good. You'll notice here that you can assign the layer. Any of the guys that have trained with me, you'll kind of remember, I would say that you should always put your blocks on layer 0. So yeah, I'm going to leave it on layer 0 and I'm going to convert that, right? And there you can see it converts all of those objects into blocks. Easy as. Fantastic tool. And probably I would say the highlight of this release is this search and convert tool. Very neat function. All right, let's get back into the next area. Right, so like I said, they are really focusing on 3 key areas. Now, the next one is your connected experience. All right, so they want you to obviously have an improved web and mobile apps. All right, so they really are focusing on that as far as I can tell. I have done a YouTube, and I'll give you guys a link to that in a moment. But you'll notice that you've got your AutoCAD desktop, right? You're going to log into your AutoCAD desktop. And then if you've got those login details, you can obviously download the mobile app, which is going to be AutoCAD mobile app, which is a straightforward app on your phone. And you've also got the AutoCAD web. Now, these are neat features because you obviously can take this to site with you. You can take it to a client. I've actually done this myself. It's a very neat tool. You go to site, you just open your phone and you can edit the drawing that you're actually working on site. Now, just to note where these are found, right, in AutoCAD itself, if you go into AutoCAD, you'll see up here, you might have noticed these before. You've got open from the web and mobile, and you've got save to web and mobile. You first need to save these files to web and mobile, right? And you'll see here, if I left click over here, it's actually going to open the web and mobile. Now it's probably opened it off the screen. Yep, that's Murphy's Law. There we go. So that will save it there, right? Let's see if that'll happen again. You do, however, need to have this Autodesk account linked. All right, so save to web and mobile. Now it's automatically just saving it there, guys. So unfortunately there, but if I click on open to web and mobile, let's see if that'll open up. Yeah. Let's just see, where has this disappeared to now? Come on. All right, well, it's not opening up for some odd reason. That's not happened to me before, which is quite strange. It's definitely something going on there. All right, but what you guys can do, let's go back over here, is you can go and have a look at that, right? Pretty straightforward. Something to note, some key points to note here. all right, with AutoCAD Web and Mobile, all right, it's going to bring up this warning. You need to obviously have this installed on AutoCAD, right? I do have it installed, so that was not the issue there. But when it's installed, then the feature allows you to save in Web and Mobile, save to Web and Mobile. This is going to be using either Autodesk Docs, or it's going to be using your Autodesk uh, yeah, I forget the name now. It escapes my mind. Desktop connector, right? So it's going to be using your desktop connector, right? So, and the desktop connector is going to allow you to actually save this to the cloud, all right? And that gets saved to the cloud. Therefore, because it's saved to the cloud, when you open the app and you log in with your user details, it's going to allow you to use that, right? Very neat functionality. All right, so it obviously brings teams together, and this also enables you to share your drawings. So that shared view is going to work in a very similar fashion. However, I find the web and mobile to be really fantastic, right? Really fantastic. There are some small limitations to each of them, right? The web functionality is a little bit more clunky than using your actual app, but you've got all the features and tools available to you. Now, I'll say the same thing about the cell phone, right? App, right? So you are able to actually get quite a lot out of that cell phone app. What is neat about it, though, is that you it's all very well and ergonomically designed. So it's very easy to read. If you know how to use AutoCAD, you're going to know how to use this on the app. It works exactly the same way. What you got to get your head around is, like me, you might have very fat fingers, and your fat fingers are going to be, editing certain things that you don't want to touch every now and again, right? So you're going to be clicking the wrong tools, etc., etc. That's what I found, right? But other than that, it works exactly the same as you would work with AutoCAD, except obviously you don't have a mouse, right? Obviously. But yeah, very neat. And you can obviously, by using this, you can actually you can actually have functionality on site, right? So I've actually done this. This is my cell phone. It's my fat fingers there going ahead at it. And yeah, this is just a quick demo of how this works, right? It's a very neat function. And as you can see, your drags work the same, your selection options work the same, your zoom works the same, and all the tools have the same naming convention. So you don't need to train, you don't need to learn how to use it. It's a little bit of a step outside of comfort, right? But not really anything you need to learn new, right? So very neat functionality, and I found this to be very powerful, especially for site dimensions and so on. All right. So that is web and mobile. Like I said, guys, I've got a mastering connected workflows with AutoCAD on YouTube. All right, it's on the Archon's YouTube webpage. Please visit that, right? If you're interested in the web and mobile, I go a lot further into it, right? So you'll actually see it working quite well there. It's about an 45-minute to an hour video, all right? But that's going to give you more functionality as far as that. If you guys are interested, please just give us a shout in the questions and answers, and I can just copy that link to that if you need it. All right, so I can definitely do that. Before the session ends, I'll probably do that anyway. All right, so some other areas to note here is the activity insight, right? So activity insight, again, this is they're kind of just up in the game with this. All right, so I found activity insight was pretty useful in giving you sort of feedback on what you're doing. The AI on the Autodesk side would kind of say to me, "Hey Nick, you need to use these tools," and so on. All right, so you're not using these tools, but myself as a trainer, I always found that the activity insight would focus on really basic tools, because obviously I'm training essentials, right? So essentials AutoCAD. So I think as an industry user, you'll see a lot better options, because it definitely told me, like, and unfortunately it's things I know, like, hey Nick, you're using the fillet options very basically. There's other options to use, like why don't you use it with polylines, right? So activity insight would actually tell me things like that. On top of that, right, what this can actually do is it gives you a very neat, smooth way to look at what's been changed. So you can check on your colleagues, if you will, right? You can check on your staff. You can actually check on your boss even, because it will actually tell you who did the changes, when they did the changes, how long they took to do the changes, etc., etc. All right, now it's still not quite something that you're going to be able to watch the workflow, but it will give you some like revision notes, who did it, when they did it, how it was done, which I find to be quite powerful as well. Obviously, I could have used this a few years ago, yeah, checking up on a couple of the appies. All right. Then tailored functionality, guys. So in 2026, they're improving the App Store. They're improving your tailored functionality, and they're kind of promoting this. So what they're saying is customize AutoCAD to industry needs, and you guys will have probably realized that they have indeed increased a lot here, right? So in other words, they've added all the tool sets into your normal license, right? Agreement. So you have loads of tool sets like Plant 3D, AutoCAD Electrical, Civil 3D that I'm sure you guys are aware. Any of the guys that have been around for a while will know. That was not available previously, right? You had to actually buy into those tool sets. Now they're available, and it seems to be that they're actually doing something with the apps, right? So apps and APIs, third-party programs, they're looking at making those a little bit more accessible and obviously easier installations, right? So I see good things to come with this. All right. If you guys have ever played around with your CUI, your custom user interface, those type of things. All right. Obviously, that area with AutoCAD being, in my opinion, one of the most customizable CAD programs out there. I mean, it's quite obvious that there's a lot of third-party apps with AutoCAD, and that's because of the reason that it's actually, I mean, I personally would see this as a almost open source, right? Program, because you can really edit this program how you want to, right? Things like AutoLisp, things like changing the macros of commands, creating your own icons, and so on. So have a look at that, guys, if that interests you. It can help with workflow. One of the simplest ones that I use, and I mean, I even said this yesterday to a bunch of people, was um, let me just minimize this, maximize it again. For some reason, it's glitching out a bit. The arc tool, right? Now, if you guys don't know about this, and I would really suggest you guys look into it, you can customize this, right? So I don't use the 3-point arc very often, but I would actually customize this. So I would go in there and say, right, I'm just gonna have start end radius, center start end, right? And I would put those two at the top, and I would actually not have any of the rest of these visible. Okay, obviously I'm a professional user. I've been using AutoCAD for a long time. I wouldn't be hosting something like this if I wasn't, I would guess. But the point I'm getting at, guys, is yeah, you can customize this very, very much to your own requirements, right? So look into that. If you're a long time AutoCAD user, I would recommend that definitely. All right, so don't forget, I did mention the tool sets. All right, so just notice how each one of these tool sets, very specifically in their specific industry, are going to help you with your productivity gain, right? Now, obviously, you want to use these in those specific disciplines. You don't want to go and use a mechanical tool set to create your architectural designs, obviously, right? But things like electrical design, I find a lot of clients, a lot of users are not even approaching that topic, right? They're trying to get everything into AutoCAD itself. And I would strongly recommend that you actually look at the architectural toolset. You don't have to buy Revit. You don't have to buy Inventor to get some of the features that you actually get in those programs, right? Sure enough, it's not going to be the same capacity of productivity, but really look at these specific to your discipline, right? Map 3D is very popular. Civil 3D is really popular. It's not even showing you. Plant 3D, really popular. And yeah, but in their specific industries, yeah, 100%. I can really believe these percentage gains. All right. Some of the other things about those specific tool sets, right? Just some information for you guys, right? So you can see there 2026 all of the pros to using these tool sets, right? So have a look at them. If there's something in your specific industry and you've got a full license of AutoCAD, just remember to go and have a look at that. Now, obviously, if you're using LT, this might not be available to you. All right, but there's always limitations with LT. That's kind of the way the ball rolls here with Autodesk and AutoCAD. So just be aware of that. All right, there are going to be some limitations as far as LT is concerned. I mean, LT won't even do things with 3D. So when you start going into architectural desktop, you're going to be drawing the plan view, and it's gonna give you the wall heights automatically, right? If you're going to mechanical, it's going to give you the side, front, and top view. So what I'm getting at here is, yeah, just those two tool sets, including Plant 3D and including Map 3D, all have a straight link to three-dimensional workflows, right? Electrical, not so much, because that's more just a diagram-based system, so it's more of a plan. And then MEP, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you guys. I have no clue. I've not touched on that one yet. So the other five I've actually looked at. MEP, just looking at the one thing that is quite important here is IFC enhancement, right? IFC is always a bit of a contentious area, and always having requests. I've always got requests from clients about IFCs. So that's an exchange format where it actually takes the macros of, for example, mechanically a structural member, right? So a profile of a piece of steel, right? Member, let's say an angle line. And what the IFC will do is it'll actually bring that information in from one program to another program. So interoperability happens there, right? And so the IFC exchange, what it will do is it'll say, this is just a vector, and it'll give you that line. And what the IFC does is it says this is actually an angle iron, and it's a 70 by 70 by 5, right? And it's made out of steel. So it adds all of that in intelligence to the file. Now, if they're improving that, it's really good, right? Because that means things like other programs, other software packages are going to talk to AutoCAD or MEP better, right? So in other words, your mechanical, electrical, and your piping, each one of those components is actually going to be easier to import and export out to other software programs, which makes your collaboration with your clients and even your in-house departments easier and better. All right, guys, I see there are a couple of questions. All right. Obviously, I'm going to change over now to questions. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all the enhancements. I know there's not a lot this year, but still some really neat enhancements with AutoCAD 2026. All right, so let me just go through the chat. Yeah, I want to have a look at these questions and answers. So yeah, Natalie, I'll put in the link in a moment. Let me answer two questions here, and then I'll put that link in the chat. So stick around if you need that link to that YouTube. All right, so Anonymous says, do we get a certificate for participation? No, this is just a webinar. Sorry, mate. This is not a certificate course. If you do the courses, we definitely offer certificates. All right, so if you need any sort of certification or that type of thing, I will be obviously for AutoCAD. You'll probably be involved with me at some point, and you will get certification there. All right, so go look into that. So it says here, if we have full license AutoCAD, can we access those softwares like AutoCAD MEP and AutoCAD Maps 3D? Yes, Mark, yes, you can. You can 100% get those, right? It is part of your full license AutoCAD, right? As long as it's a full AutoCAD. So you say full license AutoCAD, but just make sure that it's not AutoCAD Lite, right? So LT won't have availability. So yeah, so I probably answered your question before, just reiterating that, yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, been an absolute pleasure. I hope you guys got some good information out of this. I'm going to put that link in the chat there, and and to my other host who would normally be answering your questions or kind of putting the link in for me. Yeah, we'll sort out our own little connectivity issues on our own. But nice seeing you guys, and till next time. Thanks, and yeah, goodbye.